This is Gayle from BERNINA of Naperville, and you know what? We had a request for a quick little video on how to program your foot control. That's right. Yes, you can program your foot control as long as it is a BERNINA 480 up to a BERNINA 880. And even on the Q series machine. So I'm going to start off here with my BERNINA 770 Plus. You might recognize that. That's right. I said 770 Plus. It just got a little bit of a revamp with a extra large touch screen like you see here. So I'm going to use my 770 Plus, and I'm going to show you all of the different ways that you can program the foot control. Now, this is going to go through the whole BERNINA line. So you 880 Plus owners, 790 owners, and so forth are all going to be able to do this the same way. It's just depending on the machine you have, it will depend on all of the different functions that you can add to the foot control. Okay, so just in case you haven't paid attention, or you're new to BERNINA, or you just got a new machine, or you just upgraded to the machines that have the heel tap feature on the foot control. And look at this thing. I sew with my shoes on. It's all dirty. I'm sorry I'm showing this to you in this condition, so you don't need to comment. I'm aware that there's dirt on here. All right. Anyway, so you have your little piece here, and when you press the heel part of this foot control, it puts the needle down, or it brings the needle up. Now that is the standard default programming. So you also have the option to add some other features onto this. So for instance, if you go into your gears and then you go into your sewing settings, that's the straight stitch and zigzag. And then you actually can see that there's a foot control section there. So see that little needle up down feature? That is the default setting. But if you hit the heart, that's where you can adjust it. So we have all kinds of options. We have pretzel, that's a knot. And then for the knot, you can either have it do like a little cross in place, or you can have it take a few stitches. The default amount of tiny stitches is 4, but you can increase it all the way up to 6, or you can decrease it all the way down to 2. And if you push that yellow button, it'll put it back to 4. Another thing that you can do is you can tell it, I want it to cut or not cut. So see how the little white rings are around everything there? That means that we're actually going to be cutting it. And then we can also say, and yes, indeed, I do want you to lift that presser foot after we have finished with the cutting. So this is kind of like, you know, a special way that you might want to set things up. So let's just go to do a few stitches and see what it's like when we use the default section or the default feature on the foot, where we're just simply doing the needle up down right on the heel tap of the foot control. I have my machine set for needle down, and with the needle in the down position, that means when I lift my presser foot and put it on my material, I'm going to stitch and the needle lands in the down position, because we all know that's nice if you want to pivot and do things like that. But sometimes you might want to lift the needle up without actually pivoting or whatever, just pull it out of the material. And hey, listen, you can do this by pressing the thread cutters and it'll cut, lift, and everything. But sometimes you just want to take the needle out of the material. Then that's when you press on the heel part of the foot control and it lifts the needle up. And then sometimes you might just want to wiggle things around, like let's just say we need to bump that just back there, just tweak it just a little bit. And then we hit the heel part of the foot control again, and now it's down and we can pivot and we can do all of the things. And then when we're done, we can press. It cuts. Every once in a while, when I do a project, like a pattern piecing project, some of you might recognize this. This is from our Graphic Jam block of the month. But when you do paper piecing, a lot of times I find that if I like to work with needle down so I can do the wiggle, but then sometimes when I get to the end of the material or of the paper, I don't want to have to sit there, bring the needle up, then cut, then do all of these things. And especially since I do a considerable amount of my sewing with a camera in my lap, actually reaching over, touching buttons, lifting the presser foot, and all of these things can become a little cumbersome. So if I change my foot control options and I go to this heart, I'm going to actually have it not with the little cross and cut and lift the presser foot. So that is my new thing that I want this foot to do. So I'm going to turn this around because that's what you do with paper piecing. I'm going to line this up right into position here. And now let's just have a little look-see at what happens now. Okay, now that I'm finished, I'm going to press the heel tap on the foot control. And there it cuts and everything. So that is just a nice feature. Now, of course, let's go ahead and just do another piece here so you can see how that other knotting feature works. I'm gonna lower it down again. Here we go, la-di-da. Okay, so now I'm gonna change this to the 6 stitches, little tiny stitches, and then it's gonna cut, and I can show you what it would look like if you don't lift the presser foot. So let's just have a look at that. So there are the 6 stitches and then the cut, and notice that the presser foot didn't lift. I have to manually do that in this scenario. So now, just in case, this is also another question, but let's say you're very annoyed at this feature and you want to go back. All you have to do is go back to the same area where we were programming the foot control, and we're just going to go back to that needle icon, and now that's the default, which simply tells the foot control when you hit the heel part of it that you want the needle to go up or down. Now, just a little bit of housekeeping here. I just wanted to say that I call this heel tapping, but some of the vernacular is referred to as back kick. So whatever option it is, it's the same thing. It's kind of like overlocker, serger, serger, overlocker, tomato, 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 tomote. You know how it goes. So let's see what happens when we put this little guy on the Q series. Okay, here I am at the Q16 Plus, and lucky for you if you have a Q16 Plus, because the foot control button to program your foot control is right on the screen. So all you have to do is press it, and then you get some options. And the first option is the knot feature. Second option is the needle down. And the third option is to raise the presser foot. Now, of course, on the Q series, there's no thread cutter, so we don't have that option. Okay, so for the first one, you can see I've put my gloves on here. I'm actually gonna use my needle up down, and the reason why I like to do that is because I wanna start with my quilting stuff right in here like that. So I'm going to put the needle down and bring the needle up so I can pull that bobbin thread up just like that. So that was the needle up down, and then I used my hand to just touch the presser foot right on the machine. But sometimes once I'm ready and I pulled my bobbin thread up, I actually want to use the foot control to maybe knot as I go into different areas. So let's go ahead and see how that works. So I'm just going to do some stippling right in this area here. Okay, when you want to come to a stopping point, then you're just going to press the heel part of the foot control and just make tiny little stitches. Now, when you do this, it lifts the presser foot up each time, but this is how we can go several little places together to tie off, or we can actually reach under here, grab our thread, heel tap, and then pull up our bottom thread to cut it off, just like that. What I like about that method with the tying off method is it puts the needle down and it brings the foot up. So you can see it's like a one-step process. So when I go to get started with my sewing, You know, I can kind of hold the thing in place just to get a few little stitches and whatever, but when I'm ready to bring my needle up out of the material and knot off, I can just do my little knotting, stop, heel tap, it brings the needle up and lifts the foot, so I can pull the thread, heel tap again, it puts the foot down and takes one stitch so that I can grab my threads and pull my bottom up to trim. So that is my favorite method. So that's the method of using the knot. Now, the default method that I told you I'm used to is just literally putting the heel tap and putting your needle down, but then that way it stays down. So I use this one, you know, just because that's what I'm used to. But with this one, if I need to knot off and pull my threads up, I have to kind of sew. And then I have to stop. And then I have to lift up my needle. And then I still have to raise my presser foot up with the needle or with the foot button on the machine. And then I have to heel tap to put my needle down, heel tap again to bring it up, and then touch the foot again. So you can see that there were multiple times that I had to take my hands off of my work in that application. Well, I hope this tutorial made sense to you and you liked seeing how you can program your foot control on your Bernina domestic machine or your Q series. And if you want to see more tutorials like this one, don't forget to check out our Bernina of Naperville YouTube channel. It's easy. It's youtube.com/Bernina of Naperville, and there you can like, comment, and subscribe. See ya.